So this has to be earlier on there. So yes, now we can share. Okay, now you can see, huh? So what I did is that I took this thing better than handwriting, and I'll be sending the last part from it. Okay, this is not the design of the rotor. Wait. Okay. We have to complete the syllabus by 31st. So like in this week we'll be finishing this alternator, maybe next week also one class, then we have to do for DC machine. So that only I'm telling you, first I've taken the AC part, then I'll be, because we can relate, see this output equation we can relate, it's almost the same. We can relate it with the transformer and induction motor also, as you saw, we could relate it. And when once we have drawn the output equation for this induction motor, so similar output equation we have drawn for the alternator. No need to go for, because it's the same AC machine, so your this thing will not change as such. Now, yes, yesterday we were studying. Okay, some of you missed the class, so we'll start with this and then we'll move on. So this is a very important question. It will always come for 10 marks because they have no option. Short circuit ratio they have to give. It is defined as the ratio of field current, because past 10 years papers I'm seeing same questions they have to give. So what is it, is basically it is defined as the ratio of field current. Field current will remain constant. Field current is in the down. If you see in the horizontal axis there is field current, and in the top axis you have the open circuit voltage, that is your, and short circuit current. So this graph, linear graph, is for short circuit current, and this graph is for open circuit voltage. So but the field current is remaining constant. So short circuit ratio, primarily it is defined as the ratio of field current required to produce rated voltage on open circuit to the field current required to circulate rated on short circuit. So essentially, if you can see, this is our SCR, short circuit ratio. And from the figure, if you can see, you can give this field current OA is required, and this field current total OE is required. Now you have a triangle OAB and OAB, you can see here, a right angle triangle at A, another is OED. So from these triangles also you can see the both the triangles are similar. In your class 8 you have studied about similar triangles. So your angle OAB and OED, or AOB and these angles are equal. You can otherwise write OA is equal to OE, or in similar triangles what you there's a property you can write also AB, this AB is equal to your ED, because similar triangles na, that sides have property is there. So when once you are writing AB is equal to ED, AB is what, how much is this AB? AB is nothing but AB is equal to OB. How much? OB. And OB by OB by OB by OD. So likewise you can write. So primarily you see that you finally, when you are assigning it into the properties, you get a short circuit ratio AB by AC, AB by AC, or you can write it AB by AC 1 divided by AC by AB. Same thing it will come. So what is AC? AC is this voltage, open circuit voltage. And what is this AB? AB, here it is cutting na. AB is cutting, B point is cutting the line, short circuit current line, and C point is cutting the voltage. So your AC point is your open circuit voltage, your AB point is your short circuit current. So you can write your AB by AC, or in other terms 1 by AC by AB. So your open circuit voltage by short circuit current. So voltage by current gives you impedance. It gives you, the value of Z. Z is equal to R plus JXL. Now the value of R is very less in case of a synchronous machine. It is significantly very less. We can neglect it in comparison to our reactance. So I can write my synchronous reactance. This term is in terms of synchronous impedance. See here, he has written 1 by ZS. or is equal to 1 by Zs, neglecting Ra. Here's the why neglecting, because the value of R is very less. So now you came to know this is a very important concept. From here we have arrived at, we have used the property of similar triangles. These are our two triangles OAB and OED. First we have told this angle is same, OBA, this OBA, this angle, and afterwards OD, this angle and this angle is same, corresponding opposite angles same, eighth standard. Now when we were studying these concepts in eighth or trigonometry, where we, this is all nonsense, where it can be applied. See, in engineering principles, everything, mathematics which you have studied in eighth standard also is important, so you are applying that. Similarly here also you can see AOB, now you see AOB, and similarly EOD, same now. This angle will not change with respect to A or E, so this angle will not change. From this you can write OA by OE. Okay, OA by O, now OA by OE is equal to AB by AB by ED, because how the ratio of the sides is same in similar triangles. Now this ratio of the sides AB by ED. So AB by ED, again ratio of the sides of these two triangles OBA and ODE, again the ratio of this side. See, this side is OB, okay, this side is OD. So this ratio will remain same. So this is like OB by ED is equal to OB by OD. Now the short circuit ratio you can write from here only. You can write, see, earlier it was OA by OE. Now how can you write OA by OE? You can write OA by OE in terms of AB by ED. AB by ED. And now the value of ED, here you can see the value of ED. This ED value is same parallel to this value. Now ED is parallel to AC. So here instead of ED you replace it by AC. Again you get AB by AC. Okay, so AB by AC, in other terms you are writing, see, AB by AC. Now AB value you know is current, okay, and AC value is, you know, voltage. So if you can write I by V, so I by V will come as Y, it will come Y. So Y is what? Y is G plus, Y is G conductance plus BM is what? 1 by XS. So like that also you can write, and you can neglect the conductance value, and you can say this value is proportional to your BM value, and BM value is what? 1 by XS. So that is equal to your 1 by synchronous impedance. No need to do this also. This we have, this manipulation we have done just to get it in the value of impedance. Now if you don't want the impedance value directly, you want the admittance value, then also you can get the same thing. There, here you have to neglect Ra, there you have to neglect Ga, and that would be is equal to, here it was 1 by Zs, that would be equal to same, that would be equal to Ys, and Ys is equal to Gc plus JBM, and G neglected and BM is equal to 1 by X. The same thing you are getting. Now the important concept here is that effect of SCR on machine performance. Definitely your voltage regulation, your stability, your parallel operation, your short circuit current, cost and size of the machine does get affected. So how does your short circuit ratio affect your voltage regulation? Obviously the formula for voltage regulation is V cos phi plus IARA square plus V sin phi plus minus IXS. Now here plus minus is there. Why plus minus? Plus is for leading power factor load and minus is for lagging power factor load. So primarily your voltage regulation is E minus V divided by V. So the moment you are exceeding this value, XS value, you are exceeding, your short circuit value decreases. Again for your stability, your SCR is P is equal to EV by XS. So it is inversely proportional. If you are increasing your short circuit ratio, what will happen? Your power will decrease and it will affect the stability. For parallel operation, again, if you are increasing the value of SCR, how it will increase short circuit ratio? When the value of your excess decreases. So you have to decrease excess because it is inversely proportional. Now once it is decreasing, so your what happens to your this thing, I by excess reactive power value increases or voltage drop increases. So this parallel operation becomes tedious with a higher value of SCR. Same is the case with short circuit current. Already we have discussed these points. Yesterday's class also you can have a look. So it was just a brief review. Some of you have missed the class. The video is already there. It's on YouTube. It's on Google Classroom. You can have a look. Length of air gap is very important parameter as it greatly affects the performance of the machine. Basically, what is the advantages and disadvantages? This question will definitely come for 10 marks. Anil Kumar AV, if you can remember whatever you want to do. Stability, like higher value of stability limit. See what happens is that with this air gap, so regulation, smaller value of inherent regulation happens, and the synchronizing power, that P is equal to EV XA. So if excess is come less, so you get a more synchronizing power, less amount of noise with the value of reduced your reactance. So again, the disadvantages associated with the high value of SCR is that your field MMF is larger, value of field MMF is lower, because you need, see, if the value of this SCR is large, so if the value of SCR is large, so you need a larger amount of field MMF to excite it. If it is small only, you don't require larger amount of field MMF to excite it. So these were certain factors associated with the SCR. So again, the same thing is that the calculation of the length of the air gap is usually, see, similar to the induction motor. What we were doing is that we were considering ampere turns in induction motor also. Here also armature ampere turns per pole is required. There we gave a 35% this factor for accommodating other turns and all. So they're the same thing, 1.35 turns per phase. This is your winding factor. If it is not given, you take at 0.95, or if the values are given, yesterday's one problem we saw, we can calculate it also, KD into KP. These are the number of poles, where T phase is turns per phase. I phase is basically the phase current. KW, I already told you, is winding factor. Winding factor is a multiplication of your distribution factor and pitch factor. Pitch factor is cos alpha by 2. Distribution factor is m sine, if that value is beta or whatever value is given, m sine beta by 2 and divided by sine m beta by 2. Okay, that value is there. So again, no load ampere turns per pole. How much would be the no load ampere turns per pole? It would be basically your the value of SCR into your ampere turns per pole. So basically, how do you assume a suitable value of SCR? So to assume a suitable value of SCR, what we assume is that we feel okay, let's suppose there is 70 to 75% of no load ampere turns per pole. So let's assume, like in that case also, even induction motor, I have told you 0.85. Here I'm assuming around zero point 0.7 to 0.75. So that comes around, ampere turns comes around 79,006 79,000 70, how much is this? 79,600. And the same value there, it was around 8. This is the BG, kg and lg. So these are all the coefficients, air gap, contraction factor, length of the air gap, and this is the magnetic flux. So this is, these values were already we have seen similar to it in the induction machine also. So essentially these are the air gap coefficient, or the air gap contraction factor may be assumed varying from 1.12 to 1.18. Now, for the empirical formula over the years, while the engineers and scientists have been designing the machine for a particular range and rating, so they have a statistical data available with them. And what have they created for the best design possible for salient pole alternators? It's seen that your length of the air gap is around 0.012 to 0.016 into pole pitch. Pole pitch would be pi d by p, your circumference divided by pole. Now, same for the turbo alternator. They have considered this is for silent pole. Silent pole would mean hydro alternator. Silent pole alternators don't run at very high speed, and turbo alternators are what, cylindrical or non-salient. So these alternators are also called as non-salient or cylindrical, and they run at fast speed. So this is your length of the air gap. In this case, would be 0.02 to 0.026 into your pole pitch. Now your synchronous machines are essentially designed with a larger air gap as compared to that of the induction machine. So how do you go about the design of the stator winding, and what type of winding we will take, the number of slots which we are inducing turns per phase, and we'll be seeing some advantages, disadvantages. So let's see, let's go about it. So how many all of you are, so I'm seeing 25 people are there. Sachin Reddy, Sachin Reddy, Sachin, I'm marking you absent. Sachin Reddy, Anil Kumar Evi, Viramani.
Yes, sir.
Anil Kumar, you are there.
Yes, sir.
What about Sachin Reddy? Sachin Reddy is not there. Please be present. Okay, I am marking him absent.
Present, sir.
No, no, no problem. I'm marking. So whatever number of people I'm seeing, that I have to. Pradeep Kumar. Pradeep Kumar. Pradeep Kumar. I'm marking him also absent. Pradeep Kumar. Because simply I cannot give attendance like this. If you're not simply joined, logged in and all, then you see that afterwards we will, nobody will watch the video afterwards. That is for sure. Nobody sees the video afterwards. It's like in the beginning only, when the teacher is in the classroom, you have to pay attention. Now, how do you go for the number of slots? The number of slots are to be, how it has to be selected, and what parameters it has to be considered, how to select high number of slots, suitable number of per pole, and what are the points to be considered for the number of slots. First of all, we have to see what are the advantages of selecting the number of plots, higher number or lower number of plots. For example, if we have an higher number of plots slots, we'll have a reduced leakage reactance, we will have better cooling and decreased tooth ripples. But disadvantages of higher number of slots would be, because as we are taking large number of slots, more copper is required, so it will definitely improve the cost. Now the tooth interact with each other, because the number of slots are there, so it becomes mechanically weak, and there would be a higher flux density. Current flux density is bb of is your flux by area, because the area would decrease significantly, and your slot loading should be less than 1500 ampere conductor per slot. Slot pitch, that is pi d by p, should be for low voltage machines, the range of it should be around 3.5 centimeter. For medium voltage, low voltage is up to 6 kV, medium voltage is like from, it starts from 6 kV to 15 kV. The dimension should be less than or equal to 5.5 centimeter. As far as the high voltage machines is considered, it should be equal to less than or equal to 7.5 centimeter. Now, considering all the points and the number of our salient pole machines, may see, what we take is that we have salient pole will mean a machine that is rotating at less speed, has higher number of poles, and is working as a hydro generator. Okay, so for that, for and turbo generator would mean a machine that is operating at high speed, has lesser number of poles, and the diameter is also less. So for these turbo alternators, we have non-cylindrical poles. It may be selected. So in this case, you take 7 to 9 slots per pole per phase. Now, in case of fractional slot windings of slots per pole per phase may be taken as a fraction of 3.5. So again, turns per phase is very simple. It's a universal equation which we have seen encountered in the induction motor also. We have seen the same equation in the transformer. Only difference in the transformer is that we don't see this Kw, that is your winding factor, because there is no winding associated as such. The space factor is not there. Apart from that, 4.44 f5 t phase is there. So the turns per phase is again your, if it is star connected, you have to divide your line voltage by root 3. If it is delta connected, same voltage you will write as it is, and 4.44 f5 kW. So E phase is your induced EMF per phase. And now again, Z phase is number of conductors per phase in stator. Now once if you have calculated your T phase, so this is one turn. Z phase in a single phase machine would be twice two, two times T phase. As far as the three phase machine is concerned, it would be six times T phase. So these are the values you can see. Induced EMF per phase. Z phase is your number of conductors per phase in the stator. T phase is number of turns per phase. Kw is winding factor. As I've told you, it is assumed as 0.955 if it is not given. If other values are given, like Kp value is given, or Kd value is given, or angle value is given, then you can calculate it also. Your Kw is Kp into Viramani what? Kp into pitch factor into distribution factor. It is pitch factor into distribution factor. Okay. So again, your conductor cross section, how you will calculate? We'll calculate conductor cross section by calculating the current density. So your current density is given by delta is equal to I by A. So area, so I by A, from that, see here, sectional area of the conductor I by A is given. Now, so this is your del S. So you can calculate AS is equal to IS by del S. Similar things, whatever I am teaching you from the very beginning, nothing has changed. Same fractions here and there, so certain changes are there, like length and rest are all same thing. So it is not that difficult. So what is to be chosen? Like a suitable value of current density has to be assumed for considering the advantages and disadvantages. Now, what are the advantages of considering higher current density? If the value of this current density, like rho s, is equal to what? Current by area. So how it can be high when your area is less? Because area will reduce, because it is inversely proportional to area. So if current density has to increase, your area has to decrease. Once your area decreases, your the cross sectional area will decrease, the volume of copper required will decrease. That will eventually reduce the cost also, because the weight of copper becomes less, so material becomes less, so eventually your cost also reduces. So there are three advantages are apparent there. Number one, there would be reduction in cross section. Apart from that, reduction in weight and reduction in cost, as I already mentioned. Now, what are the disadvantages of higher value of current density? So if you have a higher value of current density, so what happens is that it increases your resistance. Okay. Once your resistance is increased with a higher value of current density, how your resistance gets increased? What is your current density? Current density is your current by area. Now, if your cross sectional area decreases, okay, so basically what happens is that is predominantly inductive. So the surface, the resistance remains similar. So eventually your resistance is increased, and once your resistance gets increased, so it will automatically increase the copper loss, because I square R loss will increase. Now this loss is dissipated in form of heat, so more heat would be generated. Again, this heat would lead to temperature rise. So once your machine is heating up and leading to temperature rise, eventually your efficiency is output by input, and your input is output plus losses. So output plus losses, if losses are increasing, efficiency is output divided by output plus losses. So if that losses are increasing, what will happen to efficiency? It will reduce automatically, because it is inversely proportional to the input plus input, and your input is output plus losses. So hence higher value is assumed for low voltage machines. So current density is assumed to be high in case of low voltage and small machines, and and it is usually approximated around 3 to 5 amperes per millimeter square. Now There is another thing is that we have seen in the alternator, the stator is similar as far as the induction motor is concerned. The only difference in the alternator comes into play is your rotor. Inside the rotor, you have AC slip ring or you have a brush exciter on top of the rotor so that separately it excites your machine. So as far as the induction machine is concerned, your induction machine is singly fed machine. It is not a double fed machine. It is singly fed machine. Although we have a type of induction motor in which I have done my research, that is a doubly fed induction generator that is used for wind turbines. But now it is not the part of the discussion. Apparently, your induction, your synchronous motor is a doubly fed machine. So the type of coils which it will be encountering are given here. So primarily there are two types of coils are employed in stator windings of alternator. Now, number one is that they have a single turn bar coils and multi-turn coils. Now, multi-turn coil winding allows for greater flexibility in the core and the number of slots rather than your single turn. And one more important advantage of the multi-tone coil is that it also is easier to wound as compared to your single turn coil, which are usually handmade. And the bending of top coils is involved in multi-turn coil, whereas the bends are not required in single turn. So, as far as the multi-turn is very difficult comparatively, and you have to turn it using a machine rather than the handmade single-turn coil. And end connections of multi-turn coil are easier than soldering of single-turn coils. So now there is one phenomena, one word over here: transposition. Transposition means a layer, one layer over the other layer, and then because this is a three-phase system, synchronous machine. So you will have one wire for R phase, other wire for B phase, other wire for yellow phase. So that is your full transposition of the strands of single R required to eliminate the eddy current loss. Whereas in multi-turn winding is to be properly, thus increasing the amount of insulation and reducing the space available for copper in the slots. So this was a little bit about these slot windings. Now let's see how exactly it will look when you have. So this is your winding. This is the copper winding. This is the slot, armature slot. Now sometimes it can be your windings can be short in between, or in between the windings there is some amount of insulation involved. So this is how multi-turn coil arrangement looks like. So there's a wedge over there, so there is a top inner slot inner. This is one to see, there are so many turns here also. In between there is insulation, coil separation, conductor insulation. These are the things which are essential in the multi-turn coil. And width of the slot we calculate at slot pitch minus your tooth width. So this we have already seen, like for silent pole alternator. These things I have given you earlier only, and this is everything is not there in the syllabus. This mean length of turn. So, and after that we'll go to the numerical. Yes. So I'm teaching you as per syllabus. Whatever you need as per syllabus, that information I'm providing you. You can score well in this subject. It's a very easy subject. You are seeing the problems are getting repeated time and again. I myself have gone see in synchronous machine also. If you do a problem on transformer, you do induction motor, and then you'll get a hang of it, and it becomes very easy. You have to just practice. So one important factor over here is that mean length of turn. So this length of the mean turn depends upon the following factors. Now, the primary factor would be your length of the stator core. So stator core consists of two times the gross length of stator core. Apart from that, you have pole pitch. The overhang portion of the coils depend on the coil span, which in turn depends upon the pole pitch. Then voltage of the machine. So on which factors your mean length turn depends. So this then slot dimension. So this is how you express. So voltage, if it is increased voltage, so what you will require for a higher voltage, you require more insulation compared to a lower voltage. So the insulated conductor coming out of the stator, slot should have straight length beyond the stator core, which depends upon the voltage rating of the machine. So here is an empirical formula to get the mean length of turn. So it depends upon your twice the length, gross length, and to 2.25 times your pole pitch, TP. TP is Z. We were using this TP as Z. Here he has used TP, that is pi d by P. Okay, and the voltage he has kept for voltage of the machine plus 5 kV, and for slot dimensions plus 15 centimeter. Now let's go to a problem and let's solve a problem. Let's see how we are able to solve a problem. So with this problem, yeah, Viramani, you read this problem for me. Viramani,
Yes, sir.
you read this problem.
Design the stator frame of a 500 kVA,
Hmm.
6.6 kV, 50 Hz, pole star connected silent pole alternator, giving the following information. Internal diameter and
Hmm.
cross length of frame, number of slots and stator conductor, number of stator slots and conductors per slot, specific magnetic and electric
Hmm.
loading set as well as 0.56 from 6,000 amperes AC per meter respectively. Peripheral speed must be less than 40 meters per second and slot must be
Okay, very good. So you read the problem. Nice. So yeah, now you can switch off your mic. I'll tell you. So whenever in an examination a problem comes, you have to read the problem. You don't have to leave the problem just because the problem looks big or we cannot be able to solve it. Is a problem, why problem came, we need only theory, we don't need problem. See, in machine design is not even you are not getting any differential equations. Are you getting? You are hardly getting the algebraic equations of 10th class mathematics. That's it. Apart from the reactance calculation of the transformer, that you require a little bit of calculus. Are you getting anywhere? No, you are not getting. So my request with you is that you don't think numericals here are really tough. We will not be able to do those numericals like that mindset. Please, with that mindset, you should not come. You should read the numerical once, twice, thrice, and then when you feel okay, now we are not able to do, then have to take a decision. Now Anil Kumar AV, yesterday itself he took only the theory portion he will study. It should not be like that. See, this numerical is very easy to see. Number one thing, what he is mentioning, the this q value 500. Okay, then this e phase 6.6. Now it is star connected, so the 6.6 needs to be divided by root 3. Immediately should in my mind I should get this. Star means I have to divide this by root 3. Delta means no need, I'll take the value, same value. Okay, now this is three phase. To pole P I will write down 12. So everything I have given. So another internal diameter and gross length of the frame. Giving the following information. Design the see what is expecting us to calculate these number of stator conductors. So number of stator slots and conductor per pole. So what he is given, specific magnetic loading. This is BAV, he has given 0.56 Tesla, and specific electrical loading, that is the value of AC is given. So respectively, peripheral speed must be less than 40 meter. So pi dn must be less than 40 meter per second, and slot must be less than 1200. So slot already is given. So diameter and gross, let's go for the diameter and gross length of the frame. See, initially we will do what? Kw, if it is not given, we will assume 0.955. In most of the problems, it will not be given. So you assume this value, you have to assume. Output equation, we know what it is. It is 1.11 into pi square, or we can directly write 1.11 into pi square as 11 BAV Q KW into 10 power minus 3. Now, because we know this equation is very important, we are seeing this equation in induction machine, we are seeing this equation in synchronous machine. So this C naught value we should by heart, because in an examination time we cannot derive. If only this portion came, means we should by heart that part. So this C naught is equal to this. So once BAV value is given, 0.56. This Q value is your ampere conductor given to 2600. Kw value 0.955 in 10 power minus 3. Once we are substituting, we are getting our output coefficient 143. Now your speed ns is equal to 2f by p. This formula you remember a couple of times, may 2 3 problems I have done, we have used this. Now 2f by p, if because this is in radians per second, what is that, rpm per minute, what is that, rpm stands for
Rotation per minute.
Revelation
rotations per minute. Yeah,
per
yeah, yeah.
minute.
Yeah, rotations per minute. Now it is rotations per second. It comes out because I'm fasting, so little bit sometimes. Speed in rps, so rotations per second. So if it is per minute means directly n value 1500, okay, but in second means you have to divide, or you remember this formula 2f by p. 2f f value you have 50, p value here he has given 12, so you get this value also 8.33 this rps. Now your q value 500 it's given. Q is equal to c naught, you calculated d square l into ns. So ns you know, c naught you know, q you know, you can now d square l is equal to q by c naught ns. So you get the value of, in c, d length is in meter because this is diameter meter square, l length is in meter, so it is meter cube. So here the length would be 0.392 meter cube. Now one important factor is that using round poles for the salient alternator and assuming the ratio of pole arc to pole pitch, that is L by Z. Z is what, pi d by p, as 0.65, and pole arc to core length, and pole arc equal to core length. See, pole arc by pole pitch and core length by pole pitch is 0.65. So this length is 0.65. So what about this pole pitch? This is pi d by p. So pi into d by p. You can express now length in terms of pi d by p. So pi is 3.14 divided by 12 into d. So you can get the ratio of length in terms of 0.17 d. Now you have 0.17 d here, and d length you can express in terms of d. So d square into 0.17 d is equal to 0.392. You can get the value of length. Once you get the value of length, you can get the both values. You get the d value as well as the l value. So you understood? How many of you did not get till now? Tell me. Anil Kumar, Thala, you are getting it?
Got it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you are substituting is that you are substituting, you are getting same thing over and over again. I have done over and time and again I am doing it. See, now your peripheral speed, by now you should remember this formula pi d ns. So d value you have, ns value you have, pi d ns you can calculate 34.6 because d you calculated 1.32, ns value you calculate 2f by p, ns value here, where is it, 2f by p 8.33. You substitute here 8.33, 1.32, and then you get now your number of stator conductors. Now there is a point. Okay, number of stator conductors. First you have, it's a three-phase machine, so it's asking about ZS. So first have to calculate your T phase. Once you get your T phase, so number of stator conductors would be how much? Number of stator conductors would be 6 times your T phase, right? See, first of all, E phase, I told you it's a star. So the moment it comes to your mind, this is 6.6 and this star, you, whenever you have to substitute here, you have to divide it by root 3. So same thing he has done. So he has divided this by, where it went, divided by root 3. So your E phase is equal to 6600 divided by root 3. So it comes around 3810 volts. Now your air gap flux per pole. See, air gap flux, that is your flux. P phi P into phi is equal to BAV into pi dl. That you remember. This formula is also very important. P phi. This formula I have showed you. I have derived it also, but in the numerical part, you cannot keep on deriving and then getting the expression and then utilizing it, because it will consume a lot of time. You understanding is important, but in an examination with understanding, you have to keep some formulas on your fingertips. So one among them is this. So you put that, you get the value of average flux per pole. So this is the average flux per pole. You are getting 0.436. Now you substitute in your E phase. E phase is your 4.44 F5 T phase kW. What you basically want, you want the value of T phase. Why did you this much of Jagran? Why it was needed? Because you needed this value of flux value was needed. So once you get this flux value, T phase value automatically will come. Kw, I have told you time and again, you have to assume it to be equal to 0.955. Okay, so resubstitute. So you are getting around 412 turns per phase. Okay, now total number of stator conductors per phase. Total number of stator conductors per phase is writing 412 into 2 824 conductors, and total number of conductors. See, this is for a single phase machine. In case of a single phase, total number of stator conductors would be twice the number of turns per phase, because one conductor will have two turns. One conductor, this is see. Can you see here? Like if I draw something like this, can be it be seen?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
So you are seeing this. Once again, if you can see, then it's very good. Now see. Wait. So see here, you can see this. Here you can see I have drawn, this red which I have drawn is an entire conductor. Okay, so in blue which I have marked, is one turn. Okay, so this is one T phase. Again, this is another T phase. In Z, this would be equal to twice T phase. This in Z, this would be equal to twice T phase. In Z, this would be equal to twice T phase. Now for three phase conductor, this is for single phase system. This is for single phase system. For three phase conductor, you have to multiply it with 3 times. So same thing here. This total number of stator conductor per phase is 412 into 2, so you get 824 conductors. Now for three phase, it is 412 into 6. That comes around 2472. So yeah. Number of stator slots and conductors per slot. See, uh, how do you consider this? See, selecting the number. See, now we got the value of slots. Okay, now we have to select how many stator slots per pole per phase would be there. See, per pole you cannot change. It is 12. Phase also it is 3 phase. Now selecting the number of slots. So he must have given how many slots is there. So 12 port start connected in a specific electrical loading, and 0.56 and this thing, and the spectral peripheral speed must be designed the number of 12 salient port. Okay, so when it is not given, I have told you in the previous problem, it should be greater than 2. So the next integer greater than 2 is 3. So that you have to take into consideration. So 3 into 12 into 3, you get around 108. Now slot pitch is like this is the slot pitch is your pi d by s. S is what? Slot per pole per phase is your S. So this slot per pole per phase, slots per pole per phase, and your total number of slots which would be required is your 3 into 12 into 3. So this S value in the induction motor scenario also we have seen. So what we have to do is that we have to do pi into d value you have calculated. So d value is 132 by D value is, see, 1.32 meter. So he is taking this in centimeters. So if you multiply by 100, so it becomes 132. So in centimeters, it's becoming 132 pi into 132 divided by 108. So this is 2.84 centimeter. Okay, no problem. So number of conductors per slot. So number of conductors per slot, total number of conductors we saw 12, 4, 4, 4 2, 472. And we saw the total number of slots which we are requiring are 108. So number of conductors per slot are 24. So again, if we have to see how much would be the total number of conductors, we will see the number of conductors per slot, that is 24, into your total number of conductors, that is 24 into 108, that gives around 2592. And now if we want one turn, this 2592 we can divide by 6, it will come around 432. So see, here also we have calculated, this is one way of calculation and this is another way of calculation for the design purpose. So it is almost near to it. Now the full load current, it is telling you current you have to calculate. Current would be your Q divided by V, because your Q is V into I. Okay, Q is equal to, for three phase, Q is equal to root 3 V into I. Okay, for a single phase, Q is equal to V into I, not root 3. So that only, now I you keep on one side, I would be Q divided by root 3 V. So same thing, 510 power 3 into root 3 into V. So this gives you current 43.7 amps. Current is giving, you are getting the current 43.7 amps. Now you have to load this current. So loading this current would be how much current per conductor you are getting, that is 43.7 amperes, and number of conductors per slot, how much number of conductors per slot you are having, how much number of conductors per slot you are having, number of conductors per slot you have calculated to be 24. So the loading of the current would be how many slots you are having and how much current you are having, that is current loading. So this is 104.48.8. so what we had to achieve in the problem, it should be less than 1200. Now again we will explain at certain points and certain things, and we'll see how much you have gained. See, till here it is no problem. C naught, okay, substitute, get the value of d square L, everything, this pole arc by pole 0.65, get these values, and peripheral speed, then the number of turns you get here, everything is fine, and 2 for the number of slots and conductor per slot is fine. Now from here, real design starts from here. Okay, so essentially what you do is that, how do you select the number of slots? To select the number of slots, either it has to be given the value of the C, number of pole and phase will not change, slots can change, either it has to be given. If it is not given, then you have to take the number of slots more than 2, that is the next integer 3. Once you get this value, number of slots, then you have to say slot pitch. Slot pitch would mean for the cross section, that gives you the ratio of your, just like in your induction machine you have that gamma SS, same thing is that slot pitch, that was your circumference by your total number of slots in a circumference. For example, in a circle you are drawing, at that circle how much amount of this would get distributed, like what would be the distance between your next teeth, that is your slot pitch. Like this you are drawing, I'll show you. See, like this you are having, can you see this dia? So there is some
Yes, sir.
some distance, this is your slot pitch, some distance between these teeth. So this is a circumference pi d. The total circumference of the circle would be, if I complete this circle, it would be 2 pi r. But 2 pi r, in that 2 pi r, how much would be the slot distance between the pitch is divided by? For example, you have a circle. You are dividing a circle into 10 equal portions. So that 10 equal portions means of what length it is. You have to
10 divided
deduct
by
from the 10 divided by, it would be 2 pi r. Your circumference 10 divided by, yeah, yeah, you tell me what 10 divided by. Yes, yes, tell, come on, no
3
problem.
360 divided by 10, sir.
That is your angle. That is
Yes,
your
sir.
angle, not your circumference. That is for angle. It would be, if you are like dividing it into 10 angles, it will be okay. 360 by 10. That is your angle. But what about the length? For example, I have this water bottle. You can see this water
A
bottle. I can
circle.
stretch this water bottle circle. I can calculate its length. Na, I can calculate its length by measuring tape. If I put here a measuring tape, I can calculate 10 meters. Suppose I calculate its length is 10 meter. Now I have to equally divide it into 10 portions. So every portion I will get 1 meter. So after, see here. So after every some portion, I am just dividing a teeth. So after 1 meter, 2 meters. So this is your basically your slot pitch. Now you got my point.
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
Yes, sir.
This is basically your slot pitch. After every so this slot pitch would depend upon your, see, your dia divided by in how many means how many slots are there. For example, I am having 10 slots here, so I will equally divide it. So here I had 108 slots, so my slot pitch would be this dia divided by 108. If my slot pitch was different, if number of slots were more, if I had to divide it into more portions, so that portion will come. So that thing is there. Now I have to understand. So 2.48 centimeter is my pitch. So number of conductors per slot. Now number of conductors per slot. So earlier only I have calculated, okay, total number of conductors I will be having is 2472. Now again, how many conductors would be per slot? So that division thing 108 will remain same. So conductors per slot, again I have to divide it by 108. So I come around 24. So I come around 24. So now here you see number of conductors per slot is 24. Okay. So total number of conductors. So total number of conductors means this circle has got 24 conductors, which I have divided by at an interval of 108. So total number of conductors would be every at 24 this thing conductors would be there, and it would be placed all around the circle, and the total circumference of the circle after every interval of till 108. So this is 124, another 24, so it would be 108. So I get around 24 into 108. This comes around 2592. So this is the total number of slots, that is my ZSS. Now I calculate my turns per phase. Turns per phase for three phase, it would be 6 times of this. So this 2592 divided by 6 comes around 432. So okay, so here why I am doing all this is asking here number of stator conductors is asking. So that I have to calculate number of stator slots and conductors per slot I have to get. So this is important. Okay, so number of stator slots, conductors per slot, I calculate 24. Then this thing at the end he is asking about this current loading. So full load current I am giving 510 power 3 divided by root 3. So this came by the formula, your Q, your reactive power Q is equal to root 3 into VI. From that very formula it came. Now slot loading, load, how much current will load in, see, current would pass through every conductor per slot. So number of conductors per slot, how many number of conductors per slot we are having? So number of conductor per slot we are having 24. So this current will pass through every 24 conductor, which is placed at an interval of 108 centimeters. So here I will get 243. Yeah, yeah, tell me.
Sir,
Tell me, doubt.
now
Yes,
number of
nice.
conductor per
Yeah,
slot.
yeah.
So that is a
Huh?
247 by
Huh?
108. So they get answer
Huh?
22.88, sir. So
Where?
we take 24, sir. Here number of conductor per slot,
So it is how much you are getting?
22.88.
So calculation mistake. So some calculation mistake might be here, huh? Because I thought it's a printed. I have not calculated it yet. So maybe you have to see calculation mistake na. I will also check. I did not check till now. So nice that you are listening and you are just paying attention. 24. Wait 1 second. Something. How much is that?
22.88.
24. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. So it's not loading. Yeah, 24 into 108. No. It's coming 2592. Same 2492. Where you are getting? I think some
Sir,
mistake.
here 24, sir. Oh,
Answer is
approximate value y takes, sir, 24. Number of conductor
24.
per
Yeah.
slot.
Oh yeah. Okay. That value 2472 divided by 108. So 22.88 you are getting. Okay. Now very good question you asked. So can 22.88 next integer value is 23. Instead of taking 23, why he went for 24? This is a very interesting question. Okay, because next approximate integer is 23, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Why he went for 24? See
Odd number.
that why no or why odd number? He can take odd number also. Why he went for even number? You think and tell me. I will answer
Sir,
you.
to
But
prevent clogging, no, sir.
no. Cogging is one thing, but what is the other thing? The main thing. See, the number of poles are always even. Have you heard a seven pole machine, five pole machine, three pole machine?
No, sir.
So how can you can keep a 23 pole, 23 conductors per slot? So you have to keep it inside the poles only. So you usually never encounter an odd number in conductors per slot also. It will be always even. So hence, although he is getting a value of 22.88, but instead of taking 22.88, he has gone for the next even number, that is 24. So little bit of approximations are needed in the design part. So you have to be a little bit careful. So let's read. I'll just give you a brief. You write down this problem. Take a snapshot of this problem from your mobile phone. Screenshot. I want this problem as an assignment. In tomorrow's class, I will ask each one of you, how did you do, and I will change. See, this stator bore diameter you take as per your roll number. What is your roll number? You take that diameter. Okay. Suppose your roll number is USN number is, what would be your USN number, starting number?
400.
0.
Yeah. Whatever last three digits of your USN number, you have to take your stator bore diameter. Okay.
Sir, 0. Suppose many people are start from 0, sir. 02 to 03, sir.
Those people who have starting from 0, they have to add 10 in front of their last number. For example, 01, so 100. Okay, those people who are having, so they will, because I don't want a copy. Okay, rest figure will remain same. So take this, and so in tomorrow's class I want.
So Shailendra sir is waiting for us to
Yeah,
attend his
yeah,
class.
yeah. I'm just finishing it. So we'll end. We'll stop recording first. So we'll end the class. So stop recording.
Sir, underline.